right, today's lesson is section 11.2, factoring by grouping. Your essential question is right here. How do I factor by grouping? Make sure you fill out your Cornell notes. If at any time you feel like that this is going too fast, you can always push pause to make sure that you can get everything down that you need to get down. All right. So what is factoring by grouping? Well, let's talk about what we did last week, which was the GCF, factoring by GCF. So remember, you're always looking to see if you can factor out the GCF first. Here are some examples. Okay, remember, we're looking to see which number will go into all three of these. Start with the numbers first. So we have 4, we have 12, and we have 8. We'll always check to see if the smallest number will go into the two numbers bigger or the one number bigger, however many you have. So since 4 will go into 12 and 8, we're going to pull 4 out in front. Remember, we're going to have a set of parentheses. Now, the same thing is we're going to look for the variables. The variable m is in common with all three of those terms. So we bring out m, and since we have m to the fourth, m squared, and m to the first, remember we bring out the smallest exponent, so it'd be 4m. Now we started with 3 terms, so that means we have to have 3 terms inside here. We just drop down the minus and the plus there. And then remember, we're dividing it out. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. I don't have to write the 1 there. M to the fourth divided by m to the first would leave us m to the third. 12 divided by 4 is 3. We had m squared. We took out one of them, so that would leave us with m to the first. And then 8 divided by 4 is 2. We already took that m out, so this would be our answer. Remember, you can check it by working backwards and distribute. So if we were to distribute through this, we would distribute 4m times m to the third, which would be 4m to the fourth, minus 4m times negative 3m would be negative 12m squared, and then 4m times 2 would be 8m. So that is correct. Take a look at this one. This one's a little bit different than what we did last time, but last time we talked about what do they have in common. Do you guys see that they have k minus 3 and k minus 3 in common? So what we're going to do is we're going to pull that out front, even with the parentheses there. K minus 3, k minus 3. Now, what we do with the k minus 3 and the k minus 3 is those cancel out because we brought it out front already. And then what do we have left over? We have 7k plus 4 left over on the outside. So we took out this k minus 3s, pulled that out in front with our GCF, and then we have what's left over, 7k plus 4. So this would be our answer. This is kind of like what we're going to do today. You'll see that in just a second. Okay, so on your notes, now you have this set of instructions here, factoring by grouping, which is FOIL backwards. We're going to fill in the missing spots. So it says group the first 2 terms. This is what grouping is. We're grouping 2 terms together, and group the last 2 terms together. Make sure that you take the plus or minus sign before that third term. You take that with the second group. That goes in the parentheses with the second group. Okay? Then you're going to factor out the monomial or the GCF from each group. So basically what we're doing is what we did last time, only we're doing it twice. Okay? If nothing can be factored, remember to factor out 1. We can always factor out a 1. Okay, we regroup what is outside of the parentheses next to what is inside the parentheses, and then we check our work with FOIL or box method. Either one of those, whichever one you like better. So let's do some examples. All right, so we have x to the third plus 3x squared plus 4x plus 12. We have 4 terms. When we have 4 terms, that's when we do factor by grouping. So I'm going to group the first 2 together. And I'm going to group the last 2 together. Here's that middle sign. Remember, I take that middle sign and I put it with the second group. Now you're going to pretend like you don't even have that second group. All right? We're just going to cover that up. And you're going to do what we did last time, was factor out the GCF. So when we factor out the GCF, notice they don't have numbers in common, but they both have x's in common. So we're going to factor out the x, but this one's x to the third, x squared, so we take the smallest, which is x squared. And then we take and look at, okay, we have x to the third. We divided out x squared, so that would be x to the first, plus, we didn't do anything with that 3, and then we took out x squared already, so it should be x plus 3. Now, we leave that, and we move and look at the second group. All right? So we take a look at whatever that sign is, that's what we pull out. So we're going to pull out a positive whatever, okay, whatever they have in common. Notice 4 goes into 12. Always check that first. So we're going to pull out a positive 4, and they don't have anything else in common. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so we're left with x, plus 12 divided by 4 is 3. So all we did was we took the GCF out just like we did last time. All right, so now take a look. Do you notice anything about these two? Well, yeah, check this out. Each time, inside parentheses, they're both x plus 3. It has to be the same inside parentheses, or either you didn't do it right, or it's not factored, and we'll talk more about that later. But since these are both the same, here's what we do. We take these out, make them their own set of parentheses, just write it one time. So we took those out just like we did on that example a few minutes ago. And then you make another set of parentheses, and that set of parentheses, we take whatever's left over on the outside. This is our answer. Okay? So you group it first, factor out the GCF, factor out the GCF for the second one. Inside parentheses, they should be exactly the same. We rewrite that one time. And then whatever's left over on the outside, that is what you put inside parentheses, the other set of parentheses. We're going to end up with 2 sets of parentheses, just like we did up here. We had 2 groups, 2 sets of parentheses there. Okay, let's try another example. All right, 4 terms, so we're going to group. Remember, take that sign with it. All right, so now go ahead and pretend again that we don't have that second group. What is the GCF of 4x squared plus 8x? Well, 4 will go into both. They both share an x, and it's x to the first. So now we set that up. 4 divided by 4 is 1. X squared divided by x would be x to the first. We had 2. We took 1 out. Plus 8 divided by 4 is 2. And we already used that x. All right. We're done with that part, so let's look at this group. Remember, we always take the sign that's here, so we're going to take the negative. Okay. Now, what will go into both 9 and 18? Well, that's 9. Make your parentheses. They don't share an x. Well, negative 9 divided by negative 9 would give us 1, and then we have the x left. Now, be careful on this, because this is where people will mess up. But see, it's negative 18 divided by negative 9, and a negative divided by a negative would be a positive 2. Now, when you uncover this, remember, you want both sets of parentheses to be the same, and they are. X plus 2, x plus 2. So we write that x plus 2. So we use those. And then whatever's left over on the outside becomes a group. That is our answer. 4x minus 9 times x plus 2. When we multiply that back for our to check it with FOIL or box, we're going to get 4x squared plus 8x minus 9x minus 18. We get the same answer. Okay? All right. Going to do a couple more examples here just to make sure that you understand it. This one's a little bit different. What we need to do on this one is we need to write it in order first. That would be my number one thing, is write it in order first. Remember standard form, which with standard form, you've got to write it from the highest exponent to the smallest exponent. So we've got 12x to the third plus 9x squared minus 20x minus 15. Now I'm going to group those. Group the first two and the last two. Again, don't forget that sign goes with it. All right, let's see what they have in common. Well, 12 and 9. What'll go into both 12 and 9? 3. And then we've got x squared, because that's the smallest of the two. 12 divided by 3 is 4. X to the third divided by x squared is x to the first. Plus 9 divided by 3 is 3. And we've already got that x squared taken care of. All right. Now we take a look at this one. Notice I'm not covering it up anymore because I want you to start doing it without covering it up. But if it still helps you, you can cover it up like that. Take out that negative because whatever that sign is comes out. Okay. What will go into both 20 and 15? Well, that would be 5. 5. So I'm going to bring out a 5. Negative 20 divided by negative 5 is 4. X. Negative 15 divided by negative 5 would be a positive 3. Again, look at what happened. These are the same. They have to be the same. So we write that down once, 4x plus 3. And then whatever's left over, 3x squared minus 5. And that's our answer. Remember to make sure if you have any questions, you can go back and watch these again, or you can make sure to ask in class also. All right, let's check this one out. Okay, so we've got it grouped. Everything's in order. So, or we don't have it grouped. We're going to group it right now. All right, so what do these two have in common? All right, well, 2 and 5 doesn't have anything in common, right? But the x's do, so we're going to pull out an x squared, because that's the smallest of the two. So what's left? 2x minus 5. All right. Now, this has nothing in common, but remember what we said at the very beginning, that you can automatically take out a 1, and we have to do that here. So I'm going to pull out a 1. 2x minus 5. Notice they're the same again. So we write 2x minus 5. And then what's left over? X squared plus 1. That's what's left over on the outside. That's it. Okay? One more example. This time it's all variables, which don't be scared of the variables. You're just looking for what we have the same. All right, so I'm going to group them because there's 4 terms, so we group. Now, what do these two have in common? They have a's in common. So what's left? X minus y. Take out the negative. What do those two have in common? B's. So take out the negative b, we're left with x. But what's b divided by negative b is a minus y. So now notice they're the same. So what are we left with? Well, we rewrite this one because it's doubled. Okay, we have it both places. And then what's left over on the outside? A minus b. All right, guys, that's factoring by grouping. So what I want you to do now is I want you to take a look at your examples. Take a look at the notes that you've taken so far. And what I want you to do is down on the bottom of your Cornell notes where it says summary, I want you to summarize what we learned in today's lesson. So you're going to do that. And then there's a box that says question on it. What I want you to do is write a question about what we learned today. And the question could be something that you still don't understand. So it's a question you might have. It's an example that you need more help on, so you can pick one of those examples and write that. Or you can come up with a problem that's like those given as the examples that we can work on in class. Okay? So now make sure you fill all that stuff out. Go back and watch the video again if you need some extra help. And that will conclude our lesson.